Hi everyone, me again. I hope you're all safe at home, and we are working to create content for you during these times where we have to stay inside. Rest assured, it's just me and Mike in the store right now, and we're definitely safe distance away from each other. So I'm not going to do a muffled episode. This episode is going to be about the great Miriam Haskell. Those of you that love costume jewelry or familiar with her name, I think might appreciate this episode. And I'll start off by saying that everybody is familiar with the popularity of pearls over the decades, over the centuries, I should say. It's a staple in most people's wardrobes and symbolic for many occasions. One of the things that I like to cover is to show where a designer may have gotten inspiration that they translated it into something in today's world, and we will definitely do that because I pulled out two pieces from my private collection that are Victorian. I believe one piece is actually Georgian, but I haven't done the research on it. And you can see where Miriam Haskell was completely inspired by these things. Haskell started in the late 1920s, just before the Great Depression. And what I love about her is that she had an elevated taste level, and being a woman in business in the 20s was not an easy task, but she succeeded. And part of it was because she didn't compromise as far as quality. Throughout her evolution, she never got into mass production, and her company is still around, although I'm sad to say that it has gone through numerous buyers, and I don't really believe that the quality is the level it was up until maybe the 1970s. I should mention also that there are numerous incredible real pearl jewelry companies. Mikimoto, of course, is one that most people are familiar with, and Mikimoto has been around for over a century. And there's a difference between natural pearls and cultured pearls. Natural pearls are, by the very name, pearls that were created without human intervention. There are 4 different types of cultured pearls. Expense of real pearls made it difficult for the mass to be able to have a piece in their wardrobe. So Haskell actually solved the problem. She came up with a fabulous way of covering glass with a coating that gave the luster of pearls. And we have on the display, this is a newer Haskell triple strand choker with a tassel pendant. This is a newer Haskell, and it's never been worn. It's with the Haskell label, and you can feel the quality is not the quality of the older pieces, I'm sad to say. These necklaces are also older. One of her signatures is these faceted brass beads that are placed between the pearls. And oftentimes the wire and the beads can oxidize, and that's problematic because then it makes the wire brittle and then you lose everything. But there's really not much you can do about it. Oxidation is just a natural process of being out. It's how you store it can prevent that from happening. So throughout the time that Miriam Haskell was active and participating in her company, there were numerous designers, everyone from to Larry Vrba, actually in the 70s, but she'd already sold the company by then. But other names of designers that people are really familiar with are DeMario, because their use of wires with smaller beads, which is a signature for Haskell, were things that they integrated into their own jewelry. I absolutely love these bracelets because they're statement pieces. They're with the seed pearls and with faceted rhinestones and we'll do close-ups for you so you can see how fabulous the work is. Both of these. This one has baguettes. Ooh la la. And in front and to my left are pieces that I purchased a few years ago because they really talked to me. This one needs a slight repair with a jump ring, but I believe this is a Georgian earring, and it's with real seed pearls and real gemstone set in the center. And you can see the work, the wire work in the back. It's pretty tedious, but pretty beautiful, the end result. And then this presentation box is a necklace, earrings, a brooch, and this killer brooch. And these are Victorian. You can see the wire work, which is done, they drill holes through the mother of pearl. I can't even begin to tell you how fragile these pieces are, but the concept of drilling a hole in the mother of pearl to have an outlet to be able to string the beads through, and the condition on these pieces are pretty good. It needs a little bit of restoration, but does it look a little bit like Haskell's work, perhaps? Can you see where she got her inspiration from? I forgot to mention these earrings. Her pearl clip earrings are really what people look for, and when I first started out in the business almost 40 years ago, we called Haskell wearable heirlooms because the pieces retain their value and they never go out of style. They're just beautiful, and if you store them properly, you'll have them forever. One of the reasons why the Haskell pieces are what we used to call wearable heirlooms and why they retain their value is because they're so well made. And if a piece that I might have bought in the late 70s, early 80s when I first started in the business for a couple $100 is now selling for probably $1,500, $1,600. So you don't find that with a lot of vintage categories, but Haskell is definitely, you know, it's not like buying a piece of Lifetime Gianni Versace jewelry or any other names that more French designer names that people are used to. She is the top American costume jewelry company to collect and wear. The findings themselves came from Providence, Rhode Island, which is where most of the costume jewelry findings in the United States were made. In fact, there's still tons of places that have incredible pieces, and a lot of them have old stock. So if you, when we're finally out of being quarantined and you want to do a road trip up the east coast of the States, you may want to kind of scour around Providence to see if you want to make jewelry. You might be able to find some pretty fabulous treasures in Providence. In pulling out books to recommend at the end of this episode, I found in one of my books from 1986 that I purchased what looks like a press release, and it's actually from the Haskell Company. How did I get this? I have no idea. 24 years is a long time for me to, or 34 years is a long time for me to remember. It basically is a description of how Miriam Haskell started her company. She showed her first designs to her friends, many of whom were active in the fashion world, and her quote-unquote fake jewelry, without being considered vulgar, they began to put their diamonds, pearls, and emeralds in their vaults and bring out, use the Haskell pieces instead. And they would bring out the real deal for special occasions. So Haskell opened up a second shop in a hotel, and her success was immediate, and by now she'd created an aura of fashion around her jewelry. It became not only respectable, but quite chic to wear Miriam Haskell jewels to accessorize one's clothes. Women and men, too, from all parts of the United States began to inquire if Miriam Haskell jewels could be made available to their stores. Miriam Haskell did not and does not employ any traveling salesman or representative, but shows its collections exclusively in its New York showrooms by appointment only. And they limit production and cannot be mass-produced. Everything that bears the Haskell imprint is made by hand. There are no machines of any kind in the Miriam Haskell factory. Workers are required to go through a protracted training period in order to acquire the necessary skills to manipulate the intricate pieces that are part of every Miriam Haskell collection. Many of the employees have been with the company for 30 or more years. And it just goes on. I mean, when you think of, if someone were to do a flash quiz with me and say, name some of the top American costume jewelry designers, I would say Haskell would be the first, Trifari. I mean, there are quite a few. And so many of them are actually in the collectible category now, even the lower range ones like Monet. But do your homework, do your research, and buy for investment if you want, but I would say buy for your passion and interest first and foremost. And to help us perpetuate and spread the joy, if you would subscribe, if you like this, and also give us a thumbs up, because that helps us in terms of however it is, the logistics of how YouTube makes recommendations. So thank you very much. And I have to also add that I am beyond thrilled to see how many men are watching this episode and how many men are interested and engaged. So that's it for now. We want you all to be safe, to be healthy, and to be well. So see you next time.